It was one of those scorching August days at church camp in Kiski Valley, Apollo, Pennsylvania. The kind where the heat clings to you, making every moment feel alive. My best friend Tyler and I, both 11 years old, spent the day running wild, climbing, laughing, getting caked in mud. By afternoon, the creek called to us, a perfect escape to cool off. Little did I know, this seemingly ordinary summer day would mark the start of something I would never forget. After cooling off in the creek, we headed to the showers. The late afternoon sunlight streamed through the windows, casting warm, golden beams onto the damp tiles. The air was humid, filled with the faint scent of soap and the sound of water cascading onto the floor. It felt like the perfect way to end a long, hot day at camp. Just a moment of simple relief and refreshment. Segment 2, a shift in the friendship. I stepped into the shower first, letting the cool water wash away the dirt and sweat of the day. The sensation was soothing. For the first time in hours, I allowed myself to relax. The quiet hum of the water surrounded me. Like a cocoon, I was lost in my own thoughts when suddenly, the door creaked open. Tyler stepped inside, his silhouette briefly outlined in the warm glow of the sun behind him. It wasn't unusual, just two friends sharing a quick, practical moment to clean up after a day of play. We'd done this countless times over the years, and yet, something about this moment felt undeniably different. As the water poured down around us, I couldn't shake the feeling that something unspoken lingered between us. I watched as Tyler casually splashed water over himself, completely at ease, and I felt it, an unfamiliar pang, a mixture of admiration and something deeper I couldn't quite define. Tyler and I had been inseparable for as long as I could remember. He wasn't just my best friend, he was my partner in crime, the one person who truly understood me. And yet, as I stood there, I realized how special our connection truly was. It was more than friendship. It was a bond that felt profound and unique in a way I'd never noticed before. I tried to push those feelings aside, reminding myself of the lessons I'd been taught about what was right and wrong. The world I grew up in had clear lines, and I knew where those lines were supposed to be. But in that quiet, intimate moment, with the water streaming down and the world outside fading away, I couldn't ignore the stirring within me. It wasn't just the realization of how much Tyler meant to me. It was the confusion, the curiosity, the weight of feelings I couldn't quite put into words. I stood there, grappling with emotions I didn't fully understand, even as I knew they would change the way I saw our friendship forever. Segment 3, keeping a distance. Over the years, Tyler returned to church camp every summer, and though we greeted each other warmly, I made a conscious effort to keep my distance. It wasn't because I cared for him any less. If anything, it was the opposite. Tyler had always been the one person I could laugh with effortlessly, the one I could share secrets with, the one I could rely on for unwavering support. But those feelings that had started stirring in me that one summer never quite went away, and I didn't know how to deal with them. I told myself it was better this way, better to maintain a safe distance than to risk complicating our friendship. Or worse, crossing a line I had been raised to believe was unshakable. My upbringing taught me to see the world through clear-cut rules, right and wrong, black and white. But the emotions I felt, they were anything but simple. Every summer, I watched from afar as Tyler became the center of the camp's activities. His easygoing charm made him popular with everyone. There were moments when I wanted to go to him, to sit by the fire and talk like we used to, but I held myself back. If I stayed away, I thought, it would protect us both, from confusion, from misunderstandings. Still, there were times when I caught him looking at me, his expression unreadable, and I wondered, did he sense the wall I had put between us? Did he miss the closeness we once shared? Did he feel the same tension I was trying so hard to ignore? These questions lingered in my mind, long after each camp session ended, leaving me grappling with emotions I didn't fully understand. For years, this dance of avoidance continued. I clung to the idea that distance was the best way to preserve our friendship, to preserve my own sense of stability. But that all changed when we turned 18. That summer, Everything was different. Tyler and I found ourselves in a situation we'd never faced before. A moment that would challenge the careful boundaries I had worked so hard to maintain. Segment 4, a moment of poor judgment. It was a warm summer evening, and the air buzzed with a sense of adventure. Tyler had somehow managed to get his hands on some alcohol, a forbidden thrill that added an element of rebellion to the night. We ended up at his family's cozy cottage, tucked away among the trees. Hours slipped by, talking, laughing, sipping the contraband drinks. It was the kind of night that felt timeless, where the world outside melted away, leaving just the two of us. The alcohol dulled our inhibitions. Everything felt lighter, more carefree. We reminisced about old times at camp, shared stories about our future plans, laughed until our sides hurt. But beneath the surface, there was something more, an unspoken tension neither of us addressed. Suddenly, the phone rang, shattering the bubble we'd been in. Tyler answered, and his face paled. It was his parents. They were coming home early. Panic set in. The smell of alcohol lingered on our clothes, on our skin. We had to act fast. We scrambled, gathering bottles, wiping down surfaces, desperate to erase any trace of our mistake. In our rush, we bolted to the bathroom. Showers. That would be the fastest way to wash away the scent. I stepped into one stall. Tyler took another. The sound of water echoed in the small space. And as the urgency of the situation eased, a different kind of tension began to fill the room. Without thinking, I moved toward Tyler's stall and joined him under the stream of water. At first, it felt like an impulsive, even practical decision, just a way to save time. But as I stood there, the gravity of the moment hit me. The playful ease of our friendship gave way to something far more intense. The water poured over us, but it did little to cool the heat rising between us. Tyler turned to me, his expression a mix of uncertainty and something deeper. In a voice barely above a whisper, he admitted, "I've been waiting for this moment." His words hung in the air, and for a heartbeat, time seemed to stop. My mind raced, torn between the boundaries I'd always upheld and the undeniable pull I felt toward him. Caught up in the moment, I didn't resist. What happened next was a blur, a mix of emotion, chemistry, and an overwhelming sense of connection that I couldn't ignore. For the first time, our relationship crossed the line from friendship into something more, and I knew there was no going back. When it was over, reality set in. The gravity of what had just happened weighed on us both. We dressed in silence, got ready for his parents' arrival, but the unspoken weight of the moment lingered, leaving more questions than answers. Segment 5, Lives Diverging. After that night, everything felt different between us. We both knew something had shifted, but neither of us had the words to talk about it. There was a quiet understanding that things had changed in ways we weren't ready to face. And so, as summer came to an end, we went our separate ways. Tyler and I were about to embark on new chapters. College awaited, full of promise and uncertainty. I focused on the future, telling myself it was best to leave that summer behind, to keep moving forward, without looking back. It was easier that way, or so I thought. I threw myself into college life, studies, new experiences, new friends, new distractions. But no matter how busy I kept myself, Tyler would sneak into my thoughts. Flashes of laughter by the fire, the way he smiled when he was at ease, and the weight of that night in the shower, heavy with unspoken feelings. I wondered, how was he doing? Was he thriving in his own journey? Did he ever think about me? But I never reached out. Maybe I was afraid of what might surface, afraid of the questions I didn't know how to answer, afraid of the past. For years, I avoided going back to church camp. The memories felt too vivid, too raw. I wasn't sure how I would handle being back, in a place that held so much of my history with him. So I stayed away, told myself it was better this way. That distance was the only way to keep my peace. But after graduation, I finally returned. By then, I was older, maybe a little wiser, and ready to face the pieces of my past I had long avoided. Church camp felt both comforting and bittersweet, a reminder of who I had been and the moments that had shaped me, but also a reminder of the unanswered questions still lingering in my heart. Looking back now, I realize those years of separation weren't just about time. They were about self-preservation and growth. Tyler and I had drifted apart, navigating our own paths, but the connection we shared, it never truly disappeared. It remained, a quiet presence in the background of my life, waiting for the right moment to resurface. Segment 6 of Fiancé and Unresolved Feelings. Years passed. Life kept moving forward, without waiting for anyone to catch up. I built my routines, navigated adulthood, kept myself busy. But no matter how much time went by, I couldn't fully let go of Tyler. He lingered in the quiet corners of my mind, unspoken, unresolved. Then one summer, I saw him again. I had returned to church camp, and there he was, Tyler. But this time, he wasn't alone. He had come with his fiancée, Janet. She was bright, outgoing, with an easy smile that lit up every room. Seeing them together stirred something deep within me, a mix of happiness for him and a longing I couldn't ignore. But as the days at camp passed, I noticed something, a quiet tension in Tyler's demeanor. His laughter, just a little too forced. His smile, not quite reaching his eyes. Was he happy, or was he hiding something, even from himself? One evening, while Janet was at work, Tyler approached me. "Can we talk?" We walked through the familiar campgrounds, past old memories, until we reached the showers, the place where everything had changed. The air was thick, with unspoken words, and something heavier, something unfinished. Tyler hesitated. Then finally he spoke. "I'm struggling." Soft voice, heavy with emotion. "I care about Janet. I really do. But there's a part of me that feels like I'm not being honest with her or with myself." His words hit me like a mirror, reflecting all the feelings I had tried so hard to bury. Tyler looked down. "I've always wanted a family," he admitted. "I want children, but being with a man, it makes that dream feel so much harder, so much more complicated." His voice cracked, the weight of his truth finally breaking through. I wanted to tell him that I understood, that I still felt the same way, that he didn't have to choose between love and the life he wanted. I wanted to hold on to him, to be the person he could turn to. But I knew his journey was his own, and I couldn't make that decision for him. We talked for hours, about the past, about the future, about the fear of stepping into the unknown. But as the night wore on, one thing became clear. We were still heading down separate paths. When we parted ways that evening, there was no need for words, just a quiet understanding that we loved each other. But life had built walls between us. I didn't know when, or if, our paths would cross again. But one thing was certain, Tyler would always hold a piece of my heart. And with that, we've reached the end of part 1 of this story. It's been a journey through the early days, childhood summers, pivotal moments, and the profound realization of how love and connection can change everything. But the story doesn't end here. In part 2, we'll explore what happens when paths cross again after years apart. Tyler reaches out, bringing with him the possibility of a second chance. We'll share the powerful moments of reconnecting, the decision to build a life together, and the incredible journey of creating a family rooted in love and understanding. Stay tuned for the next video, where the story continues with segments 7 through 9, a tale of reunion, resilience, and a love that stands the test of time. And before you go, if you enjoyed this story so far, don't forget to show your support for Petals and Pride. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. By doing so, you'll stay tuned for part 2 of this incredible journey and all the meaningful content we create. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue sharing stories that inspire and connect.